On the news tonight, armed men invade the National Assembly, run away with mace. In business, court holds sale of telecommunication firm Mobile. On the foreign scene, former United States of America First Lady Barbara Bush passed away at 92. Hello there, and many thanks for joining us on Superscreen's flagship news, broadcasting to you live from Lagos. I am Adinike Oweye Ajiboye. Some armed men have stormed the Senate chamber today, causing commotion and raising fierce tension in the entire National Assembly. Reports say they are non-gunmen who came in with suspended Senator Ovie Omo Agege, overpowered security men, and forcefully took away the mace. Meanwhile, the Nigeria police have arrested Senator Ovie Omo Agege immediately after the plenary. The lawmaker, who was suspended by the Senate for 90 days, was accused of leading the armed men who stormed the chamber at the early hours of today and snatched the mace while plenary was on. After the plenary, policemen ushered Omo Agege from the door of the chamber into the waiting pickup van. While police were taking him to their pickup van, journalists sought to know why he acted in that manner.
Explain what these two police officers do.
Well, you want to ask them, you know. I am a senator. This commissioner of police is DPO. Are you not under arrest?
Sir, what are you doing? What are you doing in Senate? Sir, what are you doing? Talking about
I will not bring any law.
Are you saying you're under arrest?
You are under arrest already. I cannot be under arrest. Why are you with me? What I say?
Meanwhile, Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu has expressed anger over the invasion of thugs into the National Assembly, describing it as affront on democracy. Ekweremadu, who praised the resilience of the Senate for not being intimidated by the threat posed by the thugs, said as lawmakers they will continue to protect democracy in Nigeria. The Deputy Senate President, who said this on the floor of the House, charged the Nigeria Police Force and the State Security Service to retrieve the mace which was taken by the thugs in 24 hours, a decision that was unanimously agreed by all senators.
They passed this entrance, passed through all the gates, and left the National Assembly with that mess. They attempted kidnapping 2 of our senators. They were eventually left. But we decided that we will not be intimidated by any circumstance. We will stand by our democracy. We will defend our democracy. It is an affront on democracy. It's an affront on the Senate. It's an affront on the National Assembly. It's an affront on our parliament. But we are going to stand together to ensure that we'll continue the assignment Nigerians gave us to represent them. So we are giving the Inspector General of Police and the Director SSS to recover our mess within 24 hours.
Well, Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu gave an ultimatum to the police and SSS to recover the maize. And now moving on, senators have expressed divergent views on the provisions of the Electoral Act bill as it relates to sequence of elections. In the new bill, the proposed election sequence seeks to make the governorship election come first, followed by state houses of assembly and national assembly, and then the presidential election last. The National Assembly Conference Committee on Electoral Act Amendments Bill had recently adopted a reordered sequence of the 2019 general elections, putting the presidential election last. Both chambers of the National Assembly, though dominated by the APC, amended the order of the election. The proposed sequence of elections would make the National Assembly election take place first, 2019, followed by governorship and state houses of assembly, and the presidential as last. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has condemned the invasion of the Senate chamber by hoodlums and the cutting away of the maize, the symbol of authority. In a statement from his media office in Abuja, Atiku described the attack as a dangerous precedent and an assault on Nigeria's democracy by anti-democratic elements. Atiku stressed that given the tension in the country, the timing of the attack could not have come at a worse time for Nigeria. He also maintained that using illegal and unconstitutional methods to threaten the authority of a key democratic institution is unacceptable, evil, and condemnable. And our Amnesty International has condemned the reaction of the police on the protest by members of the Islamic Movement of Nigeria, IMN, also known as Shiites. In a statement signed by the Director, Amnesty International Nigeria, Osai Ojigo, the organization said the crackdown on unarmed protesters put lives at risk. According to the statement, the Iron Fist applied against the protesters was unnecessary, and there is no excuse for the use of live bullets, water cannon, and tear gas. You will recall that the Nigerian police force and members of the religious sect clashed in Abuja. Ibrahim Chibok schoolgirls, and the last Dapchi schoolgirl, Lee, who is still in captivity before 2019. Members were angry as they debated a motion on the fate of the Chibok girls, saying that it was embarrassing that 4 years on, the government is unable to rescue them from Boko Haram. The House also raised concerns over claims that the federal government had so far brought $460 million, equivalent of 165 billion naira worth of military hardware from a U.S. firm without appropriation by the National Assembly. Our former secretary to the government of the Federation, Olufalaye, says the President Muhammadu Buhari's led administration has not performed well, adding that he was expecting him not to seek re-election in 2019. Falaye disclosed this to journalists after he paid a private visit to former President Olusegun Obasanjo at the Obasanjo Presidential Library in Abeokuta, Ogun State. He said the current administration had failed in its primary responsibility of protecting lives and property, arguing that Nigerians were being slaughtered daily and government could not stop the ugly trend. Fala Igbo is the chairman of the Social Democratic Party, SDP, said every right-thinking Nigerian would support Obasanjo's coalition in order to achieve a progressive change in the country. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned staff against electoral malpractices ahead of the 2019 general elections. Chairman of the Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, gave the warning at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja during the swearing-in of 7 newly appointed resident electoral commissioners.
Let me therefore congratulate you on your appointment and swearing in. As I told the resident electoral commissioner sworn in earlier, you will also be responsible for the implementation of the Commission's policies. In doing so, you will exercise supervisory control over personnel, resources, as well as the legal and administrative processes in the states to which you are posted. You will also interact with various stakeholders. As election managers, you must maintain the required openness and consultation. At the same time, you must be very firm and courageous on the side of the law, as well as our regulations and guidelines at all times as required of an unbiased umpire. As resident electoral commissioners, you can be posted to any part of the country at any time the exigencies of service require. But for now, you will be posted to states within your geopolitical zones, but none of you will ever serve in your state of origin throughout your tenure.
Entrance that they will be responsible for the implementation of the Commission's policies, adding that they will exercise supervisory control over personnel and resources. One of the inductees, Segun Agbaje, who spoke on the temptations in the line of duty, urged INEC staff to uphold the truth in defense of the nation's democracy. The new commissioner has inducted Abba Yusuf, Segun Agbaje, Usman Abdurrahman. Others are Yahya Bello, Emmanuel Alex Hart, Mohammed Magaji Ibrahim, and Cyril Omoruga. The Nigerian Army has declared 5 suspects are wanted over the killings in Taraba State. The Director of Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Texas Chiku, who disclosed this, urged the public to give information that would lead to the suspect's arrest. According to him, those that had been declared wanted are Tanko Dantayi, Kurusi Danladi, Chindo, Big Olumba, and Chairman Boko. He said the decision to declare them wanted was in line with the ongoing military exercise codenamed I Am Akpatuma in Taraba State, and for the alleged roles in the killings in Takum local government area of the state, in particular Taraba in general. You're still watching Superscreen's flagship news. Coming up in business. Court halts sale of telecommunication firm 9 Mobile. Join us for details of these and more after this break. Well, so glad to have you back now in business. A federal high court in Abuja has halted the planned sale of the troubled telecommunication firm, now 9 Mobile, following opposition to the move by some aggrieved shareholders. The shareholders, AFD in Ventures Limited and Derbia Nigeria Limited, who claim to be major investors, said they were left out in the firm's decision-making and demanded a refund of the invested funds estimated at $43 billion. To this effect, they have filed a suit before the Federal High Court in Abuja on April 17, Justice Binta Yako, after hearing the plaintiff's lawyer Mahmoud Magaji, moved an ex parte motion and ruled that an order is made for the maintenance of status quo. Justice Yako, who said the defendants ought to be heard, ordered that the case be adjourned till May 14 for mention. President Muhammadu Buhari has assured members of the Commonwealth of Nigeria's an open-door policy for business at the Commonwealth Business Forum. The president, through his personal assistant on new media, Bashir Ahmed, said Nigeria's doors are open for business. President Muhammadu Buhari said he has identified the trade and investment facilitation to generate resources for sustainable development, ease of doing business, and regional integration that expands markets with safeguards against injurious trade practices from third parties and more inclusive growth with the empowerment of women and the youth as factors that are capable of making business among Commonwealth countries easier. President Buhari also called on the Commonwealth Business Forum and prospective investors in the Nigerian economy to participate in the 2018 UK-Nigeria Trade and Investment Forum at the London Stock Exchange. The federal government has announced its readiness to issue over 2,000 land titles to investors across the country in order to enable them to raise investable funds. The Minister of State, one for Power, Works and Housing, Mustafa Shekuri, who discussed this in Abuja, said the federal government was working to establish a nationwide land depository that would enable investors to make quick investment decisions. Shekuri also stressed that over 1,500 secondary land transactions on its land had been processed, adding that this had impacted Nigeria's economy positively. He maintained the property registration was one of the 13 criteria set by the World Bank for determining the competitiveness of a country's business environment to investors. Still talking business news, the ongoing probe of banks that are collecting revenues for the government have failed to remit 74.1 billion naira into the Federation account. The Commission has also issued demand notices to the banks for another 16.4 billion naira that has yet to be recovered from the banks appointed to collect revenues on behalf of government agencies that generate revenues. However, the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission (RMAFC) said a total of 57.7 billion naira had so far been recovered. The acting chairman Umaru Ghana, who disclosed this to journalists in Abuja, said while 48.7 billion naira of the recovered money had been paid into the Federation account, 9.07 billion naira relating to withholding tax on dividend only had been released to the benefiting states' boards of internal revenue. Still ahead on the news. Former United States of America Lady Barbara Bush passed on at 92.
Before they come, they're supposed to, give us some information, notice. at least maybe a week or so. There was nothing like that.
Hunger is everywhere in Nigeria. People are dying every day, but the Nigerian government are keeping quiet. Housemen are killing people. Why?
It's not what we expected because of these old men that are leading us, and you people know, you are aware that these people are not the right people to lead us. These kind of people that are leading us here are people of black mind. They just care about themselves and their family.
You are affecting my business. Render me useless. If I call it useless, I'm not a mistake. The other place where they build a shop, call it plaza. Say each shop there 4 million naira. So I don't have the money, so I have to leave.
If you plan to get a tribal mark, it takes a lot of pain, but after some time, you enjoy it. No, we experience hold up now during the construction time. Then after some time, we start enjoying it.
The way they are doing the construction is too slow. It's too slow. The construction is too slow. They should stop the construction and make sure people go into their businesses and do their businesses.